Hi everyone, sorry for the slight delay in getting started. We were just waiting for a few attendees to join. So welcome to our TP-Link roadmap update. I am Ashley Edwards. I'm the technical manager at Purdicom. I run everything technical over here. Kicking us off a little about Purdicom. So we are actually just celebrating our 20th anniversary this year, founded in 2005. As you can see on screen here, lots of vendors that we do. We focus primarily on wireless and networking and the technologies around those. Obviously, WatchGuard with the firewall and Ciclu for the point-to-points. I won't go too much into the other vendors, of course, with today being around TP-Link, but yeah, more to make you aware of the other products that we do have available. So any questions that you have there, feel free to send those over to your account managers. Moving on a little about TP-Link. Obviously, they were founded in 1996. First expanded into the international market in 2005. Became the world's #1 in the WLAN market in 2010. And moved into the enterprise into 2018. So yeah, Armada, or the precursor to Armada at least, has been around for a little while. Yeah, 6-7 years now. And then in 2020, they also entered the surveillance field as well, bringing in their Vigi cameras. They have been recognized for the last 6 years in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for wired and wireless LAN infrastructure. And they are one of only 12 vendors that are recognized for the enterprise networking. So moving on from Purdicom and TP-Link, first of all, we're going to do a little introduction around Armada. Just looking at the system itself as a platform and what the advantages of Armada are. So Armada is it's a smart cloud solution, bringing in full management of your entire network into the cloud. Now that is as a cloud-based controller in itself, or via cloud management of on-site hardware. So as you can see here, we do have an option for pretty much the entire network. You have the VPN gateway, you have Armada switching, indoor and outdoor access points, wall plates access points, and point-to-points. And all of these can be controlled via the Armada controllers. And whether, as I say, whether it's an on-site controller or not, you can still manage it through the cloud. So with the platform that we provide with Armada, it is suitable for pretty much any environment, but primarily we'd be looking at sort of the small to medium-sized businesses. As you can see here, lots of examples, great in office spaces, hospitality with the hotel and MDU platform, great for education. For the restaurant side of it, it's with the sort of flexibility that you have and the cloud management of the on-site hardware, it's going to be really great for these sorts of areas where you've got, such as with a Texas Roadhouse, 420 restaurants around the place. You can have each one controlled by its own controller, and then all of those controllers coming back to the cloud for their management, making that dispersed network very easy to manage within Armada. So moving on from there, we've got with the cloud management, it's very flexible, very reliable. We have the software-defined networking, so where you have their products all throughout the network, it makes that makes it even more flexible. It increases the usage there. We do have on the cloud side an essentials version, which is free, which I'll touch on a little bit more later, and the standard version, which does include a license fee. or you have the option for the on-site hardware or software controller. As I sort of touched on, those are not licensed to manage those in the cloud. As soon as you've bought the hardware or installed the software, they can just be brought into the cloud platform and managed. So as I sort of touched on just there with the Cloud Essentials, this is a fairly new product with Armada, bringing in a lower level of control compared to the standard Armada Cloud controller, but with free access. And this, although it is less functionality than the main controller, this is going to bring in enough functionality for most of your sort of standard deployments. So this management here still brings in your control via the web, via the Armada app. You've still got your zero-touch provisioning in there. You've still got your standard pre-shared keys and captive portal management that you can do in there. So you've still got all of the main useful features that would be used for quite a lot of the deployments around, with completely free management directly in the cloud. Just as I say, some of the more advanced features will be available only in the standard subscription. So with all of the flexibility there on the controllers, it makes it a lot easier on the management side. You can choose whichever controller is better for the site that you have available, and you still only have that one login portal to get in and control the devices. We do also have some great security features that I'll touch on those again in a little while. Much easier on the operation and maintenance side, as well as design, and some great features that are brought in to ensure that your wireless network performs as great as it could be. And then obviously the management is all well and good, but you need to have the products to go along with those. And as with everything TP-Link, the Armada range does have a full comprehensive range of products available. There's a lot of flexibility on the controllers. As I touched on, we've got the free or the standard cloud-based. We have software controllers so that you can install them on a virtual machine yourself. You have hardware controllers, and those are fully scalable depending on the size of the site that you are planning. And then we also have the integrated router option on the controllers as well, where you can have a single router that not only is working as your router, but it's your controller as well for a smaller site, just to bring everything into one easy management platform. And then on the network side, again, we'll get into the products a bit more a little later, especially the newer products coming out. But we have the Armada access points. Adding in there, we've got the desktop APs that are being added to the range with the Armada access points, and the extender APs as well. That are essentially going to be a mesh AP to allow you to bring wireless into an area that you don't necessarily have the cabling for. They're not going to be working as a root AP, but they'll be able to mesh off of another one and extend the network out in those environments where that's required. And then on the gateway side, we do have a new outdoor gateway that's becoming available, and DSL gateways as well that are newly available in the gateway range. So along with all of this as well, there's a lot of investment going in from TP-Link into the Armada range on expanding this selection even further. They do have their own manufacturing, and they own all of their manufacturing facilities, and they have them all around the country. The next slide will show you a few of those locations, but they are investing very heavily on making sure that they're producing the very best products. And then on the R&D side as well, there is a very sizable investment from TP-Link on R&D. They are always looking at expanding that network further, but not just to expand it, but to expand it with the right products, making sure that they are they are innovating, they are bringing in new products and ones that are needed and are filling holes in current in the current selection. So as a sort of touched on there with the manufacturing, they have a manufacturing center in Brazil, one in Vietnam, and one in China as well. I think that they are moving more so out of China there, but they do still have the manufacturing center there. And then they also have a full global supply chain as well. So supply of products is usually very good. There's usually a very low lead time on the TP-Link Armada products, but I would say that we probably won't be held to that for every single device. I'm sure there could be one that you want that maybe not so much. And then they do have local warehousing as well. They do have their national distribution center that they've recently opened that's just down the road from us here at Purdicom. And that is a top of the range facility that they brought in there, fully modernized. The product warranty, so all of the sort of main range there with the Armada controllers, gateway switches, indoor access points, those are down as 5-year warranty. I believe that it is more of a limited lifetime warranty on a lot of these products. There's certainly certainly a minimum of 5-year warranty on those. And then outdoor switches, outdoor access points, 2-year warranty. Again, I believe there could be that could be extended a little in the UK. I think this is highlighting mostly for the US region, but again, at least a 2-year warranty on each of those products. They do also have a lot of in-house pre-sales support that they can provide. As of course, my technical team here can also assist with these, but we have the certification and training, which is the OCNA certification for any that are interested or don't already have the OCNA. TP-Link themselves host a lot of events, but so do we on that side. So feel free to get in touch if you do want to get certified on the Armada products. We can also assist on the deployment and design and the site surveys as well for any of these deployments. Feel free to lean on us for those. And then there is dedicated Armada support directly with TP-Link as well as with our technical team as well here. So some of the key technologies, this is going to be focusing mostly on the sort of existing solution now, and then we move on to the new products afterwards. So TP-Link were the world's first Wi-Fi vendor to release a home and enterprise Wi-Fi 7 product. What does Wi-Fi 7 bring? It is massively increasing the throughput that is available to users. Wi-Fi 7 is going to be the first solution that really is making the multi-gig backbone more of a requirement. As with everything, it's still going to be a bit of a balance. Some of the lower end Wi-Fi 7 APs probably won't top out that full gigabit solution, but if you're going high end on the Wi-Fi 7, you're going to want to be multi-gig all the way through. And it's doing this by bringing down the latency, by making it's the preamble puncturing that's coming in and bringing in the multi-link operation. That's going to bring down your latency and increase your capacity throughout your network as well. So it's a lot more throughput available on Wi-Fi 7. So again, as I say, you need to have the backbone available with that as well. And I won't go through this entire table, but feel free to screenshot if you want the sort of differences between the Wi-Fi 7 and the previous generations. As I sort of touched on, a lot of it is going to be that increase in the modulation, bringing in multi-link operation. It's going to be all about that big boost in speed and throughput that you're going to be getting from Wi-Fi 7. So the two sort of flagship APs from TP-Link on the Wi-Fi 7 side are going to be the EAP 783 and 773. So these are the top of the range Wi-Fi 7 AP currently available from TP-Link. The 783 has two 10 gig ports on it, whereas the 773 has one 10 gig port. But these are your big boys. These are going to be able to handle that real high density deployment and give that big speed boost for your higher end customers there. And then, as I said, with Wi-Fi 7, you now need the multi-gig backbone to go along with it. So we do have the full multi-gig solution throughout the TP-Link products. We can now provide the multi-gig all the way from the gateway through the distribution switch. You've got edge switching as well, and the access points. So as I already sort of touched on with the APs, we've got the 783 and the 773 are the top of the range Wi-Fi 7 options, but there are some a little lower in the range there with the 772 and 723. They still are multi-gig access points, just with a little less throughput available to them than those other ones. Still solid access points for the sort of small to medium business. And then we also have the 683 UR, which is a Wi-Fi 6 access point, but it does have the multi-gig port on it. The UR there meaning ultra range. So this is one that's got an increased receive sensitivity on the radios to increase that range. We then, as I touched on, have the multi-gig switches. We have them available with 25 gig, 10 gig, and 2.5 gig ports on them. So highlighting that here, we have the distribution switch, as I would call it there, with 26 10 gig ports on it and 6 25 gig uplinks. So this is going to be distribution / collapse core sort of switch available to you there. It's got the full layer 3 functionality. They can be stacked. It's got all of the sort of functionality that you would require from a full core switch, and it's got the throughput to go along with it. We then have sort of moving a little down from there, the full 10 gig fiber switches. Now these are available in 32, 16, and 8 port variants. Each of the product codes are available to you there. This is going to be looking at your aggregation layer. And then we have the copper switches, where we have a full range of 10 gig copper with 10 gig fiber uplinks. Then we have 2.5 gig copper with 10 gig fiber uplinks, and gigabit fiber or copper with the fiber with the 10 gig uplinks on those as well. So these are all of your edge switching options. And again, I won't necessarily go into every single switch that is available there, but they are available in many variants, from down to the sort of 4 to 5 port option, all the way up to the 24 and 48 ports. Any particular switch that you'd be looking for in that range, feel free to reach out to either myself or my technical team, and we'll be able to help you find exactly what you need there. TP-Link do also have a full range of multi-gig unmanaged switches. So where you're just trying to extend the network out, but you don't necessarily need the management on there. You don't need the VLANs, you just need that connectivity. You do have a full range there. We have a 5 and an 8 ports option for 10 gig throughput, and then a 5 and an 8 for 2.5 gig throughput. And then as I said, we do also have the 10 gig gateway as well. So we have the ER8411, which is got 2 10 gig SFP plus ports on it. One as a WAN and one as a dual mode WAN and LAN. And then the ER7412M2 and the 707M2, which are multi-gig options. They have 2.5 gig on the RJ45. So as I say, you are able to get that multi-gig all the way through the network now with the TP-Link products. So on the sort of SDN side and the management, we do have some new options there. We have the free Cloud Essentials controller that I touched on before, but we do have a new hardware controller as well. and I believe the specs of it are coming up on a later slide, but we have the OC220, which is replacing the OC200. It's just going to give it a bit more of a boost. It's got a better processor in the OC220 than the OC200 had. I think that with all of the new features that TP-Link were bringing in, the OC200 was starting to struggle with some of them, and they were having to look at dropping some functionality on that device. So they brought out the OC220 with a better processing power there, so that it can handle all of the features that they're going to throw at it. So looking at some of the functionality on the SDN side, I've touched on it a lot already with the full network device management, but yeah, you can manage everything there from the central location. They are all communicating with each other. You have that full control from the edge all the way through to the core and out of the gateway. You can get full network status, you can get reports and view and troubleshoot all of your clients and devices throughout their platform. And there is full network monitoring as well. That can all be fully customized what you want to see events and alerts and notifications for, and you can get those sent out to your teams. There is an MSP mode available on the Armada controller, so that you can then have management of multiple customers and multiple sites on those for those customers as well. And then you can delegate out accesses as well. So if you have a situation where you do have somebody on site from the customer who you would want to have some sort of management there, but not necessarily everything, you can add them in. You can get them to only have a single site within that customer, or you can give them access to the entire customer. And again, you can give somebody view only access as well. If they want to see what's going on with their network, but you don't want them to break it, you can absolutely do that. You have the map option in here as well. So there's a site map and a device map. So you can have on the site side, we're looking at where the locations are, but then we can also have geotags on the device, and there is a full topology view as well available on there for how these devices are connecting together, rather than just looking at physical locations. And then we do also have the open API as well. So for anybody who needs the API access or would be looking at anything alongside that, open API is available on the Armada products as well. So with the cloud-based controller, you can also do zero-touch provisioning. It is available only on the cloud controller currently. This is where you can then get the devices added into your Armada cloud. You can get them pre-configured, everything ready to go. You ship the box to the customer, they plug it in, and it all just configures itself and starts going. It's making it a lot easier when it comes to deployments. You can have your skilled engineer staying in the office, working on what they need to work there, and having the installation team plugging everything in and the network coming up from there. It's just making the on-site presence smaller and reducing your costs there. We do have auto channel selection and power adjustment. So there is the obviously built-in standard automatic adjustments, but there is also an AI assisted auto adjustment as well, where you can get the system to run on a schedule to look at what functionality, what interactions you've had on the devices, and then from there make intelligent decisions on whether it should be increasing or decreasing transmit powers, changing channels on devices, increasing and decreasing bandwidths as well. As well as a batch configuration option as well. So if you need to make the same change on lots of different access points, you can go into the batch configuration option, select all of those devices and push those, as well as obviously batch firmware updates as well, scheduled to run only out of hours. So you have the bridge VLAN option as well. So this is essentially making the configuration for you a lot shorter. Instead of having to manually configure each LAN against each MDU, you can have sort of an overarching view of all of those VLANs to deploy that. There is a built-in Wi-Fi heat map simulator as well, but along with that, we do offer heat map options ourselves in-house, as well as TP-Link as well. So any assistance that you need on the heat map side, feel free to get in touch for those. And then there are built-in troubleshooting tools as well, all of the standard ones that you would expect with the ping, the traceroute, and DNS queries, as well as being able to run packet captures, whether that's on switch ports or on the wireless side as well. Where I touched on before, the increase in security with the Armada products, they do have the intrusion detection and prevention. And so you can then get a full threat management list or a threats management map, where it's finding all of these potential attacks and security risks, and then presenting them all to you, as well as where they are coming from. So you can see if you're being targeted by a particular region. Continuing on the security side, we have the deep packet inspection as well, where we can look at the application usage, the bandwidth of each application, and implementing access control as well on these. So you can block particular applications, you can throttle them, you can see if there is a security risk on a particular access point, application, sorry, not access point, and have that full control on there. Again, increasing your security that way. And we also have the PPSK option available on TP-Link. So this is going to be allowing you to give residents just access to their own VLAN. It's great for that multi-dwelling and hospitality. You can be giving out individual keys, and every time somebody uses that key on that SSID, they get given their own unique VLAN. They are compartmentalized away. All of their devices are still able to communicate with each other, but they're not able to get into the rest of the network. You can also be using this to give different experiences to different devices as well. So you can have an IoT device using a particular PPSK to keep them in their own little IoT VLAN, whilst other devices are able to access more resources. And finally, the Armada solution is increasing reliability as well. With the increase in the quality with the products, the 99.9% availability, automated failure detection, and geographically isolated servers, only if you're using cloud, of course. If you're using your own servers, you have to geographically isolate them yourself, of course. But yeah, this is all adding together to increase the reliability of the Armada products. So looking more at the range, and this is where we're going to be looking at a few of the new products here. So starting with the Armada controller products. Sorry, the Cloud Essentials slide is coming in here again. So as I've covered this a lot already, but yeah, it's one, as I say, it's a new product here. So it's one that they're really trying to drive. Yeah, I'll move on from there. We do have, again, as I touched on, we have the Cloud Essentials and Cloud Standard. When you're looking at the cloud-based, with the Essentials, it is free and easy to use. With the cloud, you get the advanced functionality. And then we have the on-premises options, where you can have a software controller. Now, it's very flexible on where that software controller can run. It's officially supported on Windows and Linux, but there are lots of other options available there as well. And it can run on almost any sort of hardware. So any mini PC that you already have on site, any server, you'll be able to run this software there, as well as having the hardware controller option as well when you need that dedicated hardware. No need to have a PC for that, and fully sort of scalable with those. So I believe there was a question a little earlier on the differences between the Armada Essentials and the Standard. So this page here is going to fully show that. I won't go through sort of everything here. Feel free to screenshot it. But some of the sort of main differences are going to be with the Essentials, you're not necessarily going to have the MSP option. on Essentials, you drop the WPA Enterprise, so the 8021X and the PPSK options. Mesh failover is not available on the Essentials version, and there are some limitations on the captive portaling, as well as the VPN side as well. They're still supporting WireGuard VPN on the Essentials version, but other VPN standards will require either a standard license key or using either the hardware or software controller. As I say, feel free to take a screenshot of this so that you can have the full view of all features. And then these are a couple of the extra feature, a couple of extra features here as well. So again, take a screenshot here, and I will just continue. So on the hardware controller side, we do currently have the OC200, OC300, and OC400. The OC200, as I say, is going to gradually be replaced with the OC220, which is due out soon. I don't have an exact date on there, but feel free to send something over to your account manager who may be able to get something a little closer than if it is a requirement. The main bit to highlight on the OC220, as I say, is the increased processing power so that you have that full support on site for all of the extra features that are becoming available to these controllers. All of the hardware controllers, as I say, they can be managed from the cloud. It's done by creating a secure tunnel from the cloud to the controller to then make the changes directly on the controller, and that can also be done via the app as well. So there is the Armada app that can be used for this. So looking at the roadmap for the controller functionality, I will just say in advance that obviously these dates are showing for having been completed last year. I know that the changes here are about a quarter behind, so you'll be looking at adding 3 months onto what's shown here, and you're going to be around about right in terms of the support, the time for these being released. So we are currently looking at new features coming out on the sort of third and fourth sections here. So we do have the Armada Central that is due to come out soon. This is then bringing in support for all of the Vigi devices as well as Armada all in one cloud platform. So rather than having to manage your Vigi devices via the Vigi app and your Armada devices via the Armada app, if you have them all, they will all come into this one easy management cloud platform. We do also have some SD-WAN and content filtering options coming to the gateways themselves. We're getting site templates coming to the controllers so that you can, especially with the MSP view that we were, that I sort of was showcasing earlier, you can have a templated version of a customer, easy and ready to go there. The APs are going to bring in support for PPSK with multiple radio servers, as well as air packet capture and some more spectrum analysis functionality on the Wi-Fi 7 devices. And then to come a little later on, we've got Hotspot 2.0 and the Bluetooth console coming available to the EAPs. And we've got on the switch side DHCP snooping and the PoE auto recovery. The PoE auto recovery is going to be a very useful feature, certainly for people that use CCTV. Essentially, what it's going to be doing is trying to check whether the device on the end of the cable is actually live or not. So if you have a particular camera that from time to time just drops off and becomes unavailable, it will be checking that connectivity. When it detects that there's nothing on the end, it will cycle the PoE on the ports to try and reboot the camera and bring it back. So that's going to be, like I say, a very useful feature, certainly for anybody who does do CCTV. And then they are looking at bringing in OUI and Mac-based VLANing as well, so allow for some intelligent decisions to be brought in there. And then on the essentials side, they are looking at currently bringing in the DSL router to be managed by the Cloud Essentials, as well as bringing in speed testing from gateway devices. So where you need to be able to prove the internet speed from the gateway, that's soon going to be available in the Cloud Essentials, as well as pointing to external captive portals, and some more functionality on the wireless parameter side. Again, that PoE auto recovery is going to be coming into Cloud Essentials as well as being able to do backups and restores of your hardware or software controllers that you have on site. In terms of changes on the Armada app, the Armada app is almost it's almost feature parity with what you have in the cloud, but not quite yet. It's hard to keep up with the changes as they're being made on the cloud, as so much functionality is being brought in there. But again, along with the sort of Cloud Essentials, they'll be bringing in that speed testing on the gateway, and all of the functionality that we've seen on the Cloud Essentials there. Pretty much as soon as they're available on the cloud, those changes, they will be brought into the app as well. As well as functionality to be able to do PoE auto recovery, as I sort of touched on, rogue AP detection a little better, and the DHCP snooping. So moving on to the Armada access points, we do already have sort of full indoor, in-room, and outdoor access point ranges available, but they are also bringing out these products down below. So we have the extender access points, the desktop access points, and the GPON access points down here. So these, as I say, they're extending the range out. These are going to be useful in certainly the desktop APs are going to be useful in office spaces. GPON is going to be very useful in MDU, of course, if you're running fiber to each of the apartments there. The desktop apps, as long as we've got copper available or something else to, terminating the fiber, the desktop APs would also be useful in that sort of in that MDU environment. It's going to be an AP that sits very nicely on a countertop. It's going to look quite nice, and obviously still have that great Wi-Fi functionality. And then the mesh extender, as I sort of touched on, is going to be able to mesh to your existing access points, extending that range out. As we can sort of see in the image there, it has got some pretty decent antennas on there as well, external, to give it the best opportunity it can do to have that good functionality back to the mesh route. On the Wi-Fi 7 side, we do have the 773 HD that is becoming available. So this is going to be very similar to the 773, but a bit more processing power on there, allowing it to deal with more concurrent clients than the 773 can, and to work really well in those real high density deployments, whether that's like a conference room or somewhere like that with a lot of users in a single place. We do also have the 782 HD, which is going to be much the same, but a little higher in terms of the throughput going through it, being able to deal again with a few more clients than the 773 would. Pushing on a little from there, a little later out than those devices are the 775 and the 775 UR. As I touched on earlier, when you see UR, that is the ultra range. So this is going to be the access point that you put in when you've got a large area to cover, but there isn't necessarily a huge number of people within that area, rather than having to throw more APs in to get that coverage throughout, you can put the ultra range in there. It has that increased sensitivity on the antenna so that it can deal with those devices being further away. We do have the 772 extender coming out as well. So this is a Wi-Fi 7 mesh extender. Already covered that a lot, but it will be a powered by an AC plug. Obviously, with it being an extender, you'd expect to just plug it into a wall socket and extend the Wi-Fi out that way, rather than necessarily needing PoE to be able to power it. We do have a full range of Wi-Fi 7 in-wall APs becoming available. Currently, that is the sort of lacking area on the Wi-Fi 7 range, so that's why they've got quite a few devices coming out there. We have the 725 wall, which will be coming out first very soon. So that's a Wi-Fi 7 in-wall AP for the hospitality and MDU areas, PoE pass-through on it, and two 2.5 gig ports, as well as two 1 gig ports available on there. And then to come a little afterwards would be the 775 wall and the 720 wall to extend that range out. The 775 will be a higher density version of the 725. You'll have more throughput available on the Wi-Fi side of it, still with the two multi-gig ports and the two 1 gig ports. And then again, we're extending out on the outdoor range as well with the TP-Link products. The 772 outdoor will be the first one coming out with the single 2.5 gig ports on it, but still supporting tri-band with the 2.4, 5, and 6. This one should be out quite soon, and then pushing out a little further from there would be the 725 outdoor and the 775 outdoor HD. So if you have those high density outdoor areas, there will be the 775 outdoor HD available for that. So that's going to be good for those outdoor events that go on, covering marquees full of people. And the 725 is 2.4 and 5 gigahertz only. So it's a dual band product rather than a tri-band, but still having that multi-gig port on there to go along with the multi-link operation that will be coming in on Wi-Fi 7. And then finally, a little out from there is the 723 outdoor, which is still in the planning phase. So probably a little way from becoming available. But that is, again, a fully integrated Wi-Fi 7 with dual band functionality only on there. And then looking a little bit more on, we have the desktop APs as well. So we have the 770 desktop. This is going to be a tri-band desktop AP, 4 2.5 gig ports on it, plus an RJ11 for any phones that may be needing to connect in there. Yep. Then we have the 770 XG desktop and the 730 XG desktop. So these are going to be very similar devices here. The 770 being tri-band, whereas the 730 is dual band. But these are the GPON devices with a XGS-PON ports on each and a multi-gig port on them, as well as a few gigabit ports on there. So these are your GPON MDU devices to take a look at there, whether you're looking at tri-band or dual band. And then finally, we do have the Wi-Fi 7 bridge kit becoming available soon as well. So this will be up to a gig, up to a kilometer is what they're currently looking at, with a 2.5 gig port on it, so that you can extend your network outside of your building as well. A little on the Wi-Fi 6 APs. I won't go too much into the existing range of the Wi-Fi 6. If there are any questions on any of those, then as always, reach out to us. But some of the new products becoming available here are the 668 outdoor HD. So this is, again, a high density outdoor access point. This is a Wi-Fi 6 4x4 AP with external antenna connections on it. N-type for the connector type for anybody who needs to know that. It is fully industrial in terms of the standards that it's following as well. So this can be used not only outdoor, but in those real industrial environments, the real harsh environments there as well. This does have the multi-gig port as well as a single 1 gig as well. And PoE out on the 1 gig ports as well there. Moving down the range, we have the EAP 650 and we have the D120 and the D30. So these are the directional APs that are coming out. In terms of functionality on the AP, it's going to be very much the same as the EAP 650 outdoor, obviously just with a directional antenna on there. The number in there is going to tell you the antenna width as well. So we've got a 120 for 120 degree antenna and a D30 for the 30 degree. And then finally, the EAP 603 outdoor as well. So this is sort of the lower end where you don't necessarily have a huge amount of throughput requirements or a huge amount of devices that will be connecting, but you do need some outdoor coverage there. And those do have detachable external antennas on the 603. We do have the full range of desktop APs becoming available in the Wi-Fi 6 range as well. So you don't have to go to Wi-Fi 7 to get that functionality. We have the EAP 650 desktop. So this has got 4 gigabit ports on it, with one of them being PoE out, and again the RJ11 available there. And it can still be wall mounted, although it is sort of designed as a desktop access point. And then down below we have the GPON variants as well. So we have the 650 GP and the 625 GP that are coming out, and these 610 and 615 that are already out. So this is a full range of GPON access points available to those who need them. The 650 is going to have 2 PoE out ports on it, so you can have multiple devices powered from this single AP if you have that requirement. So looking a little closer at the bridge kits, we have the range is extending further. We currently have the EAP 211 and 215 available here in the UK. We are going to be seeing that expanding further. They currently are available as bridge kits, but they will be becoming available in single units as well, so that you can buy them in singles if you have that requirement. We have the EAP 103 that's coming out. So this is going to be the real low cost 300 meg point-to-point link. This is powered by 802.3 AF PoE, or it can be powered by DC as well if needed, with 300 meg ports on that. And then at the other end, we have the EAP 225 that's becoming available. This one being with this one able to do up to 15 kilometers due to the antenna design. And then, as I sort of touched on already, we have the 765 bridge kit as well, the Wi-Fi 7 variant, where we're looking at 1 gig up to 1 kilometer on that. So focusing in a little on the GPON side of it, we do have the GPON access points, as I've already spoken about a little, but we do have other options available as well for GPON with the TP-Link kits. There are the Delta Stream range of switches that do have built-in GPON ports available on them. For those who would rather look at the switching side of it rather than necessarily going directly to the APs, or if you're trying to look at going from the Delta Stream switches out to those GPON switches as well, you can do it that way too. Again, for anybody who needs it, I will leave this up. We've kind of gone over the GPON range already, so I won't sort of go in there anymore, but this does show you the entire range for anybody who does need it. And then in terms of the GPON access point as well, I wanted to include this slide as well, so that you can see what the requirements would be for the GPON AP and sort of how it would be integrated within your location. Again, feel free to take a screenshot of this and I will move on. So again, looking at the other products available on the GPON side, we do have the GPON SFP module available as well. So this can go into a standard Armada PoE switch into the SFP port there to provide that GPON functionality. And all of the GPON devices, the desktop APs rather, they do have the phone ports on them as well as the Ethernet ports, so you can still provide that voice connection in if needed. And this again is showing you the supported switches to go along with the GPON SFP. So again, for any that need it, feel free to take a little screen grab of this one. So again, focusing on the sort of standard desktop APs, we do already have the EAP 650 available, and the 770 due to come in the future. So the 650 does support, it has 4 gigabit ports on there, does support the PoE out on there, the PoE pass-through. And again, the 770 with the 4 multi-gig ports that will be coming there, again with the PoE pass-through. Both of them are available to be wall-mounted if need, and they have full functionality, the same as all of the other Armada APs. There's no limitations on there, just in a nicer form factor for you all. And the desktop APs, they do support meshing between them, so you can have a desktop AP with at your sort of point of presence, and then have more of them sort of dotted around the location. So these are going to be, as I say, great for that MDU deployment. You do have the voice ports available on them, as well as the RJ45 ports. They are PoE powered and can pass PoE out as well. And yeah, just as I say, they're focusing very much on MDU, hotels, as well as some of the sort of smaller offices or retail locations as well for these. So the range extender APs, we do already have the EAP 673 extender. So this one is available already. It has full AC, so it plugs into a standard power port. And then we have the 772, which will be shipping in the future, the Wi-Fi 7 version. So this is very much looking at extending the network out with the lower costs. This isn't necessarily going to be your main access point, but it will allow you to get that functionality into more areas as needed. They're seeing this AP as your dead zone killer. It's going to be one that's very easy to just come in, plug into a power socket. It will mesh to an existing access point and run just as an AP. It's still fully manageable via the cloud, as with every other product, and no requirement for any sort of cabling at all. You just need to have a power socket available. And it does also have the network port on the side as well. So if you do need to then have a wired device plugging into it, you do have that availability there as well. So looking at some of the accessories that are becoming available on this side as well. So we have the one that I've certainly been looking forward to is the desk mount option for the in-wall APs. So it's to go along with the sort of standard desktop AP, but you can use as well the full range of in-wall APs in a desktop scenario by using the desktop bracket there. Of course, it won't have the exact same functionality as the existing desktop APs. They don't have the voice port on them, but if you're just looking at Ethernet connectivity or providing Wi-Fi, and in that nice desktop sort of view, then you can do that with the new bracket available there, as well as a back box option becoming available as well to help conceal cabling for those in-wall devices as well. They do also have the APM 200, which is their fully adjustable brackets. So this is going to be looking at like the VIGI deployments and the point-to-point deployments. It's allowing that full adjustability to align your link. I won't go too much into it. It is just a bracket, but it is available if needed. The APM 300 already sort of touched on this as well. So this is it is a metallic bracket, so make it feel a bit more premium. And it is to look at bringing those wall mount APs into the desktop. They can often just look a lot nicer being placed on a desk rather than having to have a wall box there. So looking at functionality that's becoming available on the access point side, one of the big ones coming out is the country code optional section on there. So currently they can be a little tied in on the country codes, but you will be getting more functionality on that side for really controlling that country code side of it for those of you that need to do so. You are also bringing in the option to be able to disable the reset button on the devices, certainly for the wall plate EAPs via the controller. You don't want to have a wall plate AP out there that a customer keeps resetting, so you can fully disable that button for those sorts of areas. They're also bringing in GRE tunneling on the access points, as well as DHCP option 82 coming out, and again the OUI based VLAN that I sort of touched on earlier, as well as SSH client as well. So that will allow the AP to act as an SSH client to another AP. So you can SSH into one AP and then hop from there across to another one on site. So if you have an AP that's offline that you need to get SSH access into, that functionality is coming out. On the gateway side, we have the 4G gateways and 5G gateways that are coming out. These are the ones to really sort of talk about here. So we have on the Ethernet side in the center here, we have the 706 WP 4G and the 701 5G outdoor that are coming out there. The 706 is the one that's coming out the soonest. This will allow you to have a 4G option as an uplink, so you can have the copper uplink or SFP uplink, but you can also have 4G, whether that's as a primary or as a backup. And there's a 5G version coming out soon as well as the 4G outdoor AP down below here. So this is going to act as a gateway and an access point with 4G functionality built in. And then we do have DSL range of gateways coming out as well. So the DR3650V is purely DSL or copper for the WAN side there. But then we have the 3650V-4G and the 3220V-4G, which are going to also have that 4G functionality as well. And again, you can use that as your primary or your backup WAN connection. They also all have the RJ11 and the RJ45. So you're going to have full flexibility on the WAN side there. And on the software side here, we've got TP-Link DDNS coming in on there. We've got site-to-site IPsec coming in. The option to disable NATing on the gateways. Currently, that's not available, so that one is coming out. As well as looking at URL signature updates and content filtering blacklists, becoming available on the gateways there. We do have more options becoming available on the integrated gateway side. So this is where you're having your router also acting as the controller. So we originally only had the 7212 PC available for that, but we do have the 7410 PC coming out soon, and before that the 8411 C. So that is going to be bringing multi-gig functionality on an integrated router. So this is where you can have just one single device on site acting as your gateway, as your PoE switch for any that have the P in the name, as well as the controller for those devices on site as well. And then on the software side as well, so this is stuff that's already been released, but you can lock clients to a particular AP using the integrated gateway, bringing in more language support for any outside of the UK, as well as bringing in more, being able to manage other gateways from within this integrated gateway if that is needed, and multiple WAN interfaces as well. Coming soon is the open API functionality, as well as obviously support for the new APs that are coming out as well. So the 3-in-1 gateway, as I say, it's fully, it's simplifying your network. You can just have that one device as acting as your gateway, your switch, and your controller, controlling everything else throughout the site. Yeah, not too much else to say on that one. And then we've got the switches as well in terms of updates here. So this page is going to be a little confusing for some of you, I'm afraid, but there are a lot of changes going on in the switches, a lot of new devices coming out. So we do have at the top here, these are 24 ports, 1 gig Ethernets with 10 gig uplinks becoming available, and this is the 48 port option. And then we have, again, down the end here, these are the, again, 24 and 48 port options, but with PoE available on them. So that is bringing that 10 gig uplink functionality to the 1 gig ports with full layer 3 access on them as well. So there is that already available on the layer 2 plus, but this is bringing in the layer 3 functionality there. And then we also have the a 32 ports, fully 10 gig switch coming out as well on with layer 2 plus functionality there with PoE on it. And then there is a full range of the easy managed switches coming in at the bottom there. So these are available in 1 gig or 2.5 gig options, as well as industrial switching as well for anybody who needs switching in those industrial areas. Again, I won't necessarily go into every one, but if you have a particular requirement, feel free to get in touch and we can assist there. They are bringing out full end-to-end, high-end, and layer 3 switches, fully up to the enterprise standards that you come to expect. 25 gig connectivity on some of them, up to 1,440 watts on the PoE side, as well as perpetual PoE and fast PoE. They are fully stackable switches as well, so you can do up to 8 units in a physical stack with these layer 3 switches. They have the full redundant power supplies and fans that you would come to expect on the enterprise switches. It is bringing in this full enterprise range as you would expect them to have. As I say, we up to 4 fans and 2 power supplies on each of the layer 3 switches, and they do have all of the ports are paired, so they are isolated into pairs. So any failures on a port is not going to necessarily bring down 6, 8, 10 ports. It's only going to be that pair that are ever affected. Does at least allow you to have a little bit of functionality in the event of a failure to keep you going until you get that replacement device onto site there. So this one's just an overview of the existing stackable layer 3 managed switches. We have, as I sort of touched on, 24 ports standard and PoE options, as well as 48 and a 26 10 gig SFP plus with the 25 gig uplinks as well. And then coming soon to that same layer 3 managed switch side, there is the 24 port, again, standard or PoE, with the 10 gig uplinks on it, and the 48 port standard or PoE, and a 20 SFP options with 4 10 gig SFPs there. So that would be 24 standard gigabit ports there, with 4 of them as combo ports, RJ45 or SFP, and the 4 10 gig uplink ports on those. So on the software update side, on the layer 3 switches, they are bringing in some more IGMP functionality with the auto election and TCN flooding there. VLAN specific port isolation as well, so that you can isolate a ports, but not necessarily from everything else, just onto a particular, only if they're on a particular VLAN. Bringing in DHCP option 43 support on there as well, and static IP binding as well. On the layer 2 plus side, again, these are devices that are already out, so I won't spend too much time on them, but they do have full 10 gig aggregation fiber switches available, 8, 16, and 32 port variants here. And again, these are fully 10 gig RJ45 switches. So these ones are 4 and 24 ports options. They are bringing out a PoE version of the 24 port. It's not currently available, but will be soon, with a PoE budget of 770 watts on that PoE switch there. Then we have the layer 2 plus. So these are some layer 3 functionality on there, but not quite enough to call it a layer 3 switch. But these are, again, multi-gig options all the way from 8 ports, 16 and 24 available in standard, and PoE options there as well. Again, I'll fly through these ones. These are your sort of layer 2 plus. These are standard gigabits with the 10 gig uplinks available on them, 24 and 48 port options, as well as a 24 port single gig fiber switch there as well. And then we have the fully gigabit throughput here as on these switches. Again, 8, 24, and 48 ports available. 8 gig is only available in non-PoE, whereas the 24 and 48s do have PoE variants of them. So moving on to a new switch becoming available here on the, these are the sort of fanless switches. So we do have a new 5 port with a single SFP available there, 63 watt PoE budget fanless switch that is coming soon. And then the other switch that we really want to sort of shout about from that previous slide is the PoE outdoor switch. So this has 1 PoE in port on it and 4 PoE outs. So this can be past 90 watts of power, and then it can pass out up to 60 watts of power. And these are able to be daisy chained. So you can extend your range a lot further using this PoE switch for things like outdoor APs or cameras where they are quite far away from the existing building. And then we have the easy managed, so these are layer 2 only multi-gig switches that are coming out. Again, standard non-PoE or PoE variants available in the 5 ports, and then a non-PoE only 8 ports option becoming available. These are multi-gig fanless switches. We then have the single gig rather than the multi-gig. So again, we've got a 6 ports, an 8 port, 16 and 18, and 24 and a 26 that will be coming out. These are layer 2 only switches, gigabit connectivity on them. And again, available in the sort of PoE and non-PoE options. And this is just to massively increase the those layer 2 only range that has been a little lacking previously, as well as expanding out on the fanless options. And then we do have a new range of switches that are looking to come out as well. These are 100 meg only switches, fast Ethernet with 1 gig uplinks on them. All of the lower end ones there are fanless design only. These are going to be real low cost, going into those real low cost areas and areas with things like cameras that won't necessarily need the full gigabit throughput on them. No, I left this slide in just as a nice, easy cheat sheet for any of you there, just to help you out with what all of the things mean on the switch name. Again, I won't necessarily go through it all, but feel free to screenshot this one for any future use. And then we have the industrial range of switches as well. So these are from -40 up to 75 degrees. These are made from aluminium and are IP40 at minimum, and then normally are available in DIN rail options as well as wall mounting. So you have, these are layer 2 only options. Currently, there isn't a 4-port or an 8-port option on there. And again, these are extending the range out for these tough areas where you won't necessarily want to put one of the Armada range of switches, but yeah, to fill a hole essentially. And they can be powered by the DC terminal blocks as well on these switches. So looking at the devices that don't have the management option on them, first of all is the unmanaged switches. So as I say, they're bringing out the 10 gig. Some of them are already available, but they are extending the 10 gig as well here. These are 10 gig unmanaged switches. So the DS108X that's coming in is an 8-port 10 gig switch. It's, as I say, it's unmanaged. It's going to be just bringing that 10 gig connectivity where you don't necessarily need the VLANs. And then we do have the 5-port and the 8-port already available, as well as the 2.5 gig variants as well. And then finally over to Armada Central. So I touched on this before. This is the new platform that should be out very, very soon. This is bringing the control of your Armada products and your Vigi products into one location. Simplifying, making your troubleshooting easier between cameras and network if you're trying to work out which one in particular is faulty. So it'll allow you to have that full connectivity of your outdoor products, your remote products, your indoors, and your surveillance network as well, all in one nice, easy space. And that is the full wrap up. Sorry, it has taken a little longer than I'd initially expected. So thanks for those of you that have stuck around. Are there any further questions? Okay, brilliant. I haven't seen any come through. So thanks everybody for attending.